Hello again. The two policies which have been the subject of most remark since Labour was elected in July are the abolition of the winter fuel payment for almost all pensioners and the legalisation of euthanasia for incurables. Neither of these policies were mentioned in the run-up to the election. They have rather been sprung upon us without warning once Keir Starmer had his feet under the table at 10 Downing Street. This smacks of dishonesty, as though the actual intentions of the Labour Party were carefully concealed lest they scare off voters. Instead, Starmer presented a bland and thoroughly innocuous persona to the electorate, a man who would do nothing radical or unexpected, a safe pair of hands to steer the ship of state. In effect, he won that election by default because the Tories were by that stage so manifestly awful that almost anything or anybody would have been better than allowing them to continue in power. All Starmer needed to do was to keep his mouth shut, look sensible, and not frighten the horses. It was a policy which worked magnificently, especially as the new Reform Party split the vote among those opposed to Labour. It is now that Labour are in power that we are seeing their real face. I wonder if anybody wonders what might have happened if Keir Starmer had made euthanasia a prominent part of his campaign before the general election. He clearly intended to ensure that if voted in, then he would give parliamentary time for a private member's bill on the subject. We know this because he says that he promised Esther Ranson that he would do so. Why do viewers suppose that he kept quiet about this? Could it be that every Muslim, along with most Christians and Jews, would have avoided voting Labour? I suspect that this was the reason, which ties in with what I said about the dishonesty of the Labour Party. The same applies to scrapping the winter fuel allowance for old people. Rachel Reeves didn't produce this idea out of thin air. She obviously cleared it first with the leader of the party. Why do viewers think that this was not spoken of before the election either? Labour went into the election with a manifesto which made no mention of either euthanasia or scrapping the winter fuel payment. They might very well not have won the election had they done so. They got in on false pretences, and this is scandalous.